The presence of advanced Sensus multimedia does not mean a complete absence of problems. Screen stability, freezing and random operation are common in this model. In general, electronics are perhaps the weakest point of the Swedish SUV. Updating the software usually helps. It is necessary to resort to replacing individual components much less frequently. Problems with onboard electronics and the operation of individual systems did not come as a surprise, since the first XC92 already had similar problems. Something similar happens in the XC62. As part of the modernization, the Volvo XC62 received the Automotive OS operating system based on Android. But problems with stability still occur. It's worth noting that the Google navigation system currently offered from the factory, maps for Sensus were supplied by here, is a separate application, more extensive and, in theory, better than what is available to smartphone users. Euro NCAP crashed the XC62 in 2017. Result? 98% for occupant protection and 95% for safety systems. This is the best indicator in the class for 2017. The city safety system has been supplemented with a trajectory control function. When the car detects an obstacle and notices the driver's lack of response, it initiates braking. If braking does not prevent a collision, the vehicle takes control of the steering wheel. There is also a developed BLIS, blind spot monitoring, system, capable of independently returning the car to the previous lane in an emergency. The XC60 is also available with pilot assist, which includes lane keeping assist. In terms of handling, the Volvo XC62 demonstrates a good compromise. It may not be as dignified as in the Volvo XC90, but the XC60 offers a high level of comfort and more nimble cornering. True, it is far from the BMW X3 or Alfa Romeo Stelvio. The Volvo XC62, even with the sports suspension, is more focused on comfort than agility. You should not choose large discs. Although they look attractive, they can seriously degrade damping performance. Air suspension has its advantages. For example, she knows how to squat for loading. However, even in sport mode, some find it too soft. The presence of pneuma can lead to increased maintenance costs. There are usually no problems with air cylinders. But isolated cases of compressor failure, for example, due to moisture/water, are already known. Some owners also complain of a knocking sound from the rear axle. And the brake system components could be a little more wear resistant. I have good news for you. Now, if you are planning to buy a used car, or learn more about your car, you no longer need to search for the information you need on the internet. We have collected everything in one place for you, on the website carme.pro. Here you can find out everything about the car, what brakes and at what mileage, any problems with engines, chassis or gearboxes, which trim levels are better not to mess with and how not to lose money buying a used car. You will learn all this on carme.pro. In the front suspension, worn elements of the lower wishbone need to be renewed. Most used Volvo XC62 are equipped with an 8-speed Eisen automatic transmission. Which is a good thing, since a manual transmission doesn't really suit this car. Automatic transmissions, although not always perfect, prove to be less problematic than, for example, the 6-speed versions in their predecessor. The choice of drive type is no longer so important, since in urban conditions, in combination with weaker engines, front-wheel drive is usually sufficient. All-wheel drive with an internal combustion engine is based on a Haldex coupling, connecting the rear axle as needed. Mechanics advise regularly updating the transmission oil. Optimally every 50 to 60,000 kilometers or 3 to 4 years. PHEV hybrids have permanent all-wheel drive on both axles, EAWD. A separate electric motor is responsible for the torque at the rear wheels. Depending on the version and year of manufacture, there are differences in its power, torque and battery capacity. Under the hood you can find only two 2-liter engines from the VEA family, petrol and diesel, but in countless power options and modifications, diesel, mild hybrids based on diesel and petrol units and plug-in hybrids PHEV. Each engine is supercharged. But it differs not only in the number of turbochargers, 1 or 2, but also in the method of supercharging, turbocharger or additional compressor/electric compressor. It's easy to get confused with engine markings. The index T denotes petrol or PHEV versions, and D, diesel. Index B is mild hybrids, MHEV, but both gasoline and diesel. Powerful gasoline engines consume a lot of fuel, and mild hybrids are not much more economical. If it is possible to charge the car in your own garage, then you can pay attention to PHEV. According to many owners, diesel engines best suit the character of the Volvo XC60. Due to several issues, you should look for vehicles with a clear service history. In terms of reliability, the engines perform well, but not without some mistakes. So in diesel engines there are cases of leakage from under the valve cover. In addition, components of the power pulse supercharging system fail, in particular, pipes break. There are also known cases of damage to turbochargers, especially small ones in a dual charging system. The Volvo XC60 T8 experienced problems with the exhaust manifold and the first catalytic converter. It is worth knowing that the Volvo XC62 has undergone several service actions that affected power rear door levers, missing nut on the front seat rail, risk of fire in a diesel engine, problem with the intake manifold, until 2019. AEB automatic emergency braking system, front seat belt anchorage, windshield wiper arm mounting nut, risk of blown fuse in the low-pressure fuel pump, failure of a turbocharger in a diesel engine. The Volvo XC92 was initially criticized due to its shortcomings. The shadow also fell on the Volvo XC62, which, according to the general opinion of mechanics, is still a much less problematic car. Although the electronics may have malfunctioned in the first copies, overall reliability is assessed positively.